My name is Ryan Wood and this is RWood Outdoors.
It's our pleasure to welcome you to Portland.
Well, good morning folks and welcome to Oregon. That there in the background is Mount Hood and I'm hiking the Timberline Trail, a 42-mile circumnavigation of Mount Hood back there. Should be an awesome trip. Got the big backpack on, gonna spend a few nights out here. Let's get to it. Let's get my backcountry permit filled out and get on our way. And we're off. 42 miles. Let's get going. Okay, 1 mile down, 41 to go. Pretty tough first mile. Run around 6,000 feet elevation and coming from sea level, that's a pretty big wake-up call. But beautiful day out here, let's get on with it. So this is known as the Timberline Trail, and it gets that name for good reason. The trail weaves in and out of the tree line above the elevation where trees can't grow anymore. So at this moment down below the tree line, and before too long we'll be back above it and in and out through the course of the trail. Pretty cool and lots of great changes in scenery, very beautiful. Well, welcome to Zigzag Falls. This is the first of many water crossings this trip. Gotta approach these cautiously, but looks doable. It's a trail and an obstacle course. So I busted out the trekking poles, getting into some steeper sections, both up and down, a little more tiring. Tell you what, these make a big difference when you got a heavy pack on your back. Well, we're about halfway through the hike on the first day, 5-6 miles in, I'd say, and time to bust out the snacks. Been waiting a little while for this, a lot of hard work. Let's eat up. Got some Spam, crackers, tuna fish, a few snacks. Let's get some lunch. Well, there's the first glimpse of the summit of Mount Hood since the clouds broke this morning. What a massive feature. Onward. Trail gets narrow in some spots, but otherwise pretty well kept. Well, just hit mile number 10 for the day. That's a nice accomplishment. Last couple miles have been mostly downhill, which means whatever goes down must come up. But getting close to our campsite for the first night here, and pretty excited about that. Well, we got ourselves another water crossing, a little more treacherous this time. The home stretch for today, Ramona Falls. Ramona Falls, home for night one. Well, home sweet home here at Ramona Falls on night one on the Timberline Trail. Got a nice campsite picked out. Let's get the tent set up. Well, that's the last drop of the 3 liters of water I brought with me. From here on out, it's going to be harvesting from streams and filtering with my Sawyer filter. Gotta have water out here. Eating good in Mount Hood. Got some pad thai tonight. Not too bad. Well, I got camp all set up. Had a good dinner, good scenery, and a good end to day number 1 here on the Timberline Trail in Oregon. Let's get some shut-eye. Well, good morning. Waking up here on day number 2 here on the Timberline Trail. Had a nice night camping at Ramona Falls, and now on to the next destination. Got a 12-mile hike today, and figured I'd get an early start at it. Let's hit the road. A bad windstorm came through here a couple years ago, blew all these trees down. Pretty crazy. Very foggy this morning. Nice to see that break soon. Well, this section of the trail has been littered with blowdowns, giant trees that have fallen in a windstorm. And man, what an obstacle course this is. Some you gotta go over, some you gotta get on your hands and knees and go under. And having a heavy pack on your back makes it that much more challenging. Well, this looks like an interesting section to navigate. Do some rock crawling. Looks like it's time to cross a bridge over troubled water. So the latter part of yesterday's hike was mostly downhill, and I knew I was going to pay for that. About 4 miles in this morning, and it's been mostly uphill, and that'll take the wind out of you if you're not in shape. But finally starting to level off. That's a good thing. Hopefully cruise a little bit. Well, the section of flats was short-lived, and it's been pretty much uphill for the past few miles, and quite grueling. But that's the 7-mile mark for the day, so a little past halfway. Found a nice flat rock, gonna get a bite to eat, and then onward to the campsite. Well, the fog seems to have lifted finally. First glimpse of Mount Hood today. On the north side of it, looking south. Good spot to refuel the water. It's hard to describe how many different changes in scenery I've seen on this trip, and I'm only halfway done. Spectacular. Not too many man-made structures out here, but here's one of them. This is the Carn Basin Shelter. Not a bad place to be if it was in a thunderstorm. Well, another sketchy river crossing behind me. That's a relief. Alright, our destination on day number 2, Elk Cove. Man, what a beautiful place here, but I tell you what, we're experiencing a windstorm right now, and that makes things interesting for setting up a tent. Hopefully it blows over, but you gotta have unpredictable weather when you're on the side of a mountain. Well, dinner on night number 2, lasagna. Just as good as the Olive Garden. Well, about to turn it in here on night number 2 on the Timberline Trail. Got the camp all set up, had a good dinner. And let me tell you, it's a little chilly tonight. I'm glad I bought the 20-degree mummy bag, because it's going to get cold. It's going to be about 40 degrees, and that wind is howling. It's like camping in a tropical storm tonight. But anyway, all comfy cozy, all bundled up. We'll see you in the morning. Well, getting an early start here on day number 3 on the Timberline Trail. Man, what a windy night. It was blowing probably 30-40 miles an hour all night long. But had the mummy bag and that kept me warm, so that was good. Got a lot of miles today, a lot of uphill today, so gonna hit the road early. Sun's just coming up over Mount Hood. So last night's campsite marks the halfway mark for the loop, and I'll tell you what, when you're playing those mind games out there, it's nice to be on halfway, knowing that every step forward is a step closer to the finish line. Pretty cool snow cave. Bet the Yeti lives in there. This section is like walking on beach sand. Man, tough. So there's Mount Hood peeking through the trees, and way in the distance I got my first glimpse of Mount Adams. That's a hike for another day. Time to cross the glacier. Well, a little over 9 miles in today, and I've reached the highest point of elevation on the trail. I'm not sure exactly, but my GPS tells me around 7,300 feet, so it's been a lot of uphill to get to this point. I'm looking forward to a little net downhill to finish this out. Another glacier crossing. Way down there is home for the night. Got about 1.5 miles to go. It'll be good to get some rest. All right, home sweet home. After a little more than 12 miles today, mostly uphill, finally made it to the Newton Creek campsite. Last campsite for the trip. Let's get some dinner going and get a good night's rest. On the menu tonight is chicken and dumplings, just as good as the Cracker Barrel. Well, good morning. Waking up here on day number 4, and it's the last day of the loop. Time to get packed up and get out of here. Start out with a sketchy river crossing this morning, but hopefully once that's over, smooth sailing, 7 miles back to the truck. Well folks, we're on the home stretch, and after hiking for 10 plus hours a day, every day, it gives you a lot of time to think about things, puts a lot into perspective. I'd say something that stands out the most is it's very humbling to have everything you need packed on your back. Food, water, shelter, and ibuprofen. Another water crossing, Clark Creek. Well, I know I'm going the right direction. Home. Well, first sign of civilization in quite a while. The Mount Hood Meadows Ski Resort. Final major water crossing. All right, folks, the home stretch. That's Mount Hood right there, and got another little while to go right up against climbing that ridge, and then we're home. Looking forward to it. Whew, the final mile. And if I haven't mentioned it yet, a good chunk of this trail is sheer cliffs. One false step and you're a goner. Well, the first glimpse of the lodge in the distance. Only thing separating between me and that is a giant canyon. Gotta go around, but almost home. Well, this is the end, folks. 42 miles by map, a little over 45 miles on my GPS. The end of the Timberline Trail around Mount Hood. Done. Well, there we are, folks, the end of the line. Completed the circumnavigation of Mount Hood on the Timberline Trail. What an incredible experience. 4 days, 3 nights, and a whole lot of calories burned. If you're interested in giving this a try for yourself, it's easy to underestimate the danger and the difficulty of this trail, but that's what calls us to these types of adventures. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode of RWood Outdoors, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell. My name is RWood, and I'll see you next time.